Here's the ultimate cheat sheet you need for Bitcoin's price action over the coming months. We will be looking at the two distinct phases, the boring zone, so to speak, and the banana zone. We'll be talking about these phases in a lot more detail, talking about market cycles for Bitcoin. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward, and let's dive right into it. So this is generally what we tend to see in market cycles, and we'll be talking about what they exactly mean and these specific phases which they correspond to. So this so-called boring zone is essentially the post-halving reaccumulation area. We tend to see that after the halving in every single cycle where we just move sideways for an extended period of time. In 2020, this was 160 days of sideways price action. In 2016, it was 150 days. And so if 150 or 160 were to translate to this boring zone, this reaccumulation phase, then the breakout should take us into late September or early October of this year, because this reaccumulation phase, this so to speak boring zone, is supposed to gear us up and prepare us for the banana zone, which is essentially the parabolic phase of the market cycle. We always see reaccumulation after the halving, but this enables parabolic price action to new all-time highs and beyond, searching for new all-time highs, price discovery, price trying to discover new heights in the market cycle before eventually peaking in its bull market. Very simple chart, but so effectively presenting the market cycles. Just notice how this is the reaccumulation phase, right? This is the reaccumulation phase that we tend to see after the halving, sideways price action after the halving for 160 days or so. And if you want to look at 2016, 150 days or so. So this is really just sideways movement in preparation for the post-halving parabolic upside. So this chart really does summarize the reaccumulation phase quite nicely. It really summarizes and simplifies into layman's terms what the reaccumulation zone is all about. It really is quite boring. This is where investors are disappointed because they buy around the halving event and they want to hold in expectation and anticipation of some phenomenal upside. But this phenomenal upside doesn't occur over the 5 or 6 months where we consolidate after the halving. That phenomenal upside only occurs a lot of time after the halving. So this boring zone is going to shake out a lot of investors, make them capitulate, but predominantly because of impatience, disappointment in anticipated returns, and just generally being trigger hungry to be making some sort of changes, trading and over trading and buying too much. Whereas actually you should just be reaccumulating as the reaccumulation phase suggests, reaccumulating here, trying to buy on bargain buys and holding for that parabolic phase in the cycle. And this is exactly what we've been seeing over the past several weeks. Bargain buying at the range lows. The green level here is the range low of the reaccumulation range. Any deviations below there represent fantastic bargain buying moments, and we have actually just entered the range once again, and we've ended this downside deviation and bargain buying mode. We are 133 days after the halving, and 2016 is suggesting to us that we should be breaking out 150 days or so after the halving. 2020 is suggesting to us that we should be breaking out approximately 160 days after the halving. So we have 30 to 40 days or so to break out from here according to historical price tendencies. And here's another chart where that chart from the very beginning simplifies things, because we are currently in this phase of the cycle. And if you just have a look at what the halving looks like relative to these phases, then these orange circles really pay justice and showcase this sort of boredom that happens after the halving. Around 2016, we saw pullbacks and sideways price action for multiple months, not really taking off, but then really going into that parabolic price action. After 2020 as well, sideways price action for multiple months before finally taking off into fantastic price action and that fantastic parabolic phase. Here, once again, we are moving sideways predominantly, but that's also going to get us into new all-time highs and beyond. So this is definitely the reaccumulation phase. It's definitely that boring phase, but then the banana zone suggests that we're going to see a lot of fantastic price action going forward. And this is another chart that highlights this even better. Old all-time highs are here in black horizontal lines, and the green circles just showcase to us that reaccumulation phase, the so-called boring zone. We've had the longest ever reaccumulation phase around old all-time highs in this cycle, because in the past we only saw a brief multi-week reaccumulation period before we broke to new all-time highs. Here we had a lot of zigzagging and lots of volatility, but generally reaccumulation before fantastic upside to new all-time highs. And here we had very little reaccumulation. But just notice how once we exit this reaccumulation period, we rally to new all-time highs and experience parabolic price action. But this, of course, leads to some diminishing returns. And so you can notice that every time we exit that sort of reaccumulation phase and rally to new all-time highs, we simply diminish in returns every single cycle. So it's quite important to be conservative and understand that this diminishing in returns is a natural occurrence as we experience a bit more maturity in the market, and as the market cap itself grows and institutional interest and investment comes in. Of course, diminishing return is going to be a factor. However, this reaccumulation phase, which is occurring right now, is going to slowly start ending 30 to 40 days, as history is suggesting. So this reaccumulation phase is slowly but surely ending. And if we just close the video with this sort of chart, because this chart, if we go back to this chart here, this is exactly the same thing. We tend to see fantastic price action in the banana zone over time, and we're just waiting for that banana zone to take place. And this is exactly what this chart, which I mentioned in the previous video, showcases to us. The old all-time high region, the market cycle we've come to know over the past 3 or 4 years, this is roughly how it looks like. But after a while, once we break those old all-time highs, we see phenomenal price action to new all-time highs and beyond. That price discovery is pretty exciting, the most exciting moment in the cycle, where we see over optimism, over exuberance, greed, lots of excitement and FOMO in the market. And it's after this reaccumulation phase where we're going to start seeing that parabola take place. Of course, I wouldn't pay attention to the price points right over here, because these 3 charts here, they are on the normal scale, and this is more on the logarithmic scale, which is distorting the price points. I'm not saying that we're going to go to 1 million or whatever the case may be, but this is just a great chart to just highlight to us that we are at a period in the market cycle where we're essentially at old all-time highs, ready for that parabolic price expansion to take place. We're just reaccumulating at around these levels, so we're running out of time for bargain buying opportunities before we really do lift off and rally into the parabolic phase of the cycle. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I'm Rekt Capital. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoyed content like this going forward, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.